Is my mic on, first of all? Is it connected? Okay, it's saying 25%. Okay. Hi, everybody. It's Chelsea, aka your resident weird mom, and welcome to my YouTube channel. That's right. I have finally put my big girl pants on and have decided to start this channel that has been keeping me up at night for probably a couple years now with indecision. But even though I'm a baby in this YouTube world, I am willing to start this channel scared and unprepared. The only reason why I put it off for so long is because I didn't think I had anything to talk about, or my life was it's really not aesthetic at all, but we're gonna try anyway. I will do a formal introduction to this channel eventually. However, for now, just know you'll find regular mom content, weirdy content, and other things. I'm a woman of many interests, so you never know what you'll see on here. Now, jumping into today's video, I didn't know how else to start my new corner of the internet other than with a long-awaited vlog or recap, if you will, of my 15K that I ran a month ago tomorrow, actually, which is crazy. I'm filming this on March 7th and tomorrow's March 8th. I ran this race on February 8th. It feels like I just ran that race last week, but needless to say, this is long overdue, and I will be honest, I was really fighting for my life during this race, so I didn't really get a lot of exciting clips to show you. However, I do hope you enjoy the story nonetheless. I'm gonna call this Chelsea's version, which is really the only version of this race. I'd play a Taylor Swift song here, but I don't want to get copyrighted. So enough of the intro, let's move on with the story. My 15K race was the Hot Chocolate Run, which is a series that goes on tour. It's a race that goes on tour in many different cities, and I was lucky enough that they had a Dallas spot. The reason how I even found out about this race was an ad on TikTok, and what drew me to it is because it had a 15K distance, which I don't really see in races that are organized around here. So I said, let me hop on this because this is going to really show me what it's like to run a long distance, because my ultimate goal is to run a half marathon, which I'm currently training for, and I thought a 15K would be great because 15K is 9.32 miles. Prior to race day, I kept looking at the weather, as many people might do, to see what it was going to be like, and it was definitely a warmer day for February here in Texas, which I'm not mad at. I would rather run in slightly warmer weather versus ice cold weather, in my opinion, but maybe that doesn't make me a real runner. I don't know. Nevertheless, my mom did offer to drive me to the race, and I took her up on the offer because I had no idea what condition I was going to be after running that many miles. And when I first signed up, I saw that the location of the race was at Fair Park, which, if you don't know, that's where the State Fair of Texas is held every year. And so I thought we would be running all throughout the fairgrounds, and I thought that was going to be cool. However, at the end of the race, we probably only ran a total of 1 whole mile in the actual fairgrounds. The rest of the race was on the outskirts in like neighborhoods and on streets. So go figure. Leading up to this race, I was very nervous to do it, but also equally excited. There was not a doubt in my mind that I was gonna say, you know what, I'm not going to do this race, because I had paid money, of course, and then also, like, I already told all these people on TikTok and Instagram I'm doing this race, but also I just couldn't find it in my heart of hearts for myself to not do it. On the race day, we got to the race site and I did some stretches. I went to the bathroom, and eventually I had to leave my mom and sister at the finish line because the start line was a little bit like another area, pretty close, but still like far enough to where I would have to go walk over there. And there were a lot of people. Like, this was I would say second largest race I've done. The biggest race I've done is Susan G. Komen, which I walked it. That was like the first 5K I ever done ever in my life. This is the second biggest. Lots of people, sea of people. And after the start, when I got to the start line, we were in corrals. I was in a lower corral, so I had time to like get my nerves together. But pretty soon it was go time, and for me it was show time. I am about to start this vacation. So my strategy for the race was I was going to listen to music instead of a podcast, and because I needed some motivation rather than just hearing people talk about motivation, I needed some pumped up motivation. And I really started off strong. I have started. Let's get into it. Let's go. Like, I wasn't going too fast. I was smiling. One down. 8.3 to go. 2 miles down. I forgot how many to go. I reached the 10K, 15K split, so here we go. And the first couple miles seemed to have breezed by really quickly, but you know what else was breezing by? My inner strength. Because by mile 3, I was beginning to struggle. 2 down, 6 to go. 6.3. 4 down, 5 to go. Like, I could not figure out why I was losing my breath so fast. I had electrolytes, I had running gel. What was it? And then I realized that this route was on a very slight incline, not like terrible. There were some obvious hills, but much of what I thought was flat land was actually an incline. And the wind was unforgiving. After mile 4, I began to walk. I'm walking because I'm not used to running in the heat. So when I reach the next mile, I'll start running again. 5 miles down, 4 to go. And it took everything in me not to just feel discouraged completely and throw in the towel. I mean, I couldn't even get to mile 7.5, which I had run in training. And I ran the longest I've ever ran, 7.5 miles. I even had energy to sprint at the end. I tried 2 gels. I ate a couple gummy candies. I had an electrolyte drink. I did it in 1 hour and 14. And it just made me feel bad that at mile 4, I was throwing in the towel. But it wasn't like I was really throwing in the towel, because I was definitely still determined to run at certain points. So I decided I would walk the inclines and I would run the declines. And it worked for a little bit until the route led us to a walking trail. And the way it went is like I was going straight and then I would turn right to get on the walking trail. As soon as I turned right, the wind just greeted me so aggressively. And there were still people around me running. And I was like, how are y'all running for real? Like, what is it? What am I doing wrong to not be able to run in these conditions? Mile 6. 3 more to go. Still, I wanted to carry on. And so I ran what I could and walked what I could until I got to the end of the walking trail portion. When I got back to the streets, I told myself I'd run the last 2.5 miles. And that worked out great. I ran 1 full mile. 2 miles left. All right, that's 7. 1 mile to go. And then we got to this giant bridge hill. And I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna walk up this hill, run down, and then pretty much the whole entire last part of the race was wind. Just full on in my face. And so once I got to the last quarter of a mile, I was like, I'll just run this last bit. And once again, they put a finish line at the top of a hill. Criminal. But I ran it and I finished strong.
Yeah! Keep going! Keep going!
I got my medal, my free water, and I started to slow down and just casually walk as if I'm just walking at the mall. And that's when the pain and the stiffness started to set in. I don't know how my legs could feel both like noodles and they were made of lead at the exact same time, but it was happening. So I found my mom and sister and we went to go sit back where the start line was. There was like an area where you could just kind of sit. So we went over there to regroup. Once I sat down for a few minutes, I did go get my finisher treat, which was hot chocolate, of course, and some chocolate fondue with some treats to dip in the fondue. I thought that was like the best finisher treat I've ever gotten in a race. Like, who doesn't want chocolate fondue and hot chocolate at the end of a race? We stuck around the race site for about 30 minutes total before we made a 1 mile trek back to the car. At that point, I'm on runner's high. I feel pain, but it's not terrible. And so my mom takes me home, I shower, and I'm pretty much out of commission for the rest of the day. Like, I'm asleep. And that was pretty much it for race day. It was a very nice, sunny, windy day, a very good experience. I already kind of shared my learnings from running the race on TikTok, but for the purposes of YouTube, here it goes. That race sucked for me, okay, but it showed that I'm truly capable of learning from defeat. I think a past version of myself would have given up on running after that race because in my mind, I wanted it perfect. I wanted to run the whole thing and come out a champion. But because I know now, as I get older, that practice truly does make perfect and you're not going to get it right the first time every time. It just gave me further motivation to keep on and train for this half marathon that I am currently training for right now. Overall, I do think the race, as it was organized, was very nice. So sad that it was hot, for a hot chocolate race, but I still enjoyed it. It was really good hot chocolate, actually. I think it was Hershey's Candy Shop hot chocolate, which they gave in our welcome or our registration packet, which I now go buy from Kroger because that is the best hot chocolate in a package I've ever tasted, but that's neither here nor there. And I think if I ran this race again, I would just do the 5K because at some of the water stations, they were giving out sweet treats like gummy bears, M&Ms. I didn't really stop for that. I didn't really get the full fun run of it because I was so focused on getting through the distance. So I would definitely do this race again, but just as a 5K. But anyway, that's it for my recount of the little 15K that could. If you've watched all the way through to this point, I could give you a big hug right now, but I can't because you can't hug through a screen, so I'm just gonna send you virtual hugs. Stay tuned for more things on this channel. Right now, I don't really have a posting schedule or a cadence. It will definitely be more sporadic at the beginning as I get my footing, but I do plan on making this work. This is, like I said, a vision I've had for a while. I don't know if I will go back to podcasting for real, but I'm open to it. For now, I just want to do these videos and post them whenever I want, just to get into the flow. That's it. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching and tuning in. And as always, keep being weird.